Well, hello there, and welcome back to another edition of the European Soccer Show. And with me, as ever, is the newly turned 27, Leo. Happy birthday, bon anniversaire.
Hello, Daniel.
Hello, how are
Hello,
you?
Daniel. How are you? Merci beaucoup thanks a lot for your wishes. How are you?
I too had a lovely your birthday. Thank you for asking. Yes, I'm good. Thank you. I have some time off, which means I have a lot more energy than usual. Which, considering how much energy I usually have, that could be far too much. Let's find out. So this week, to bring everybody up to speed, not only did we have league games, we also had cup action in 4 of the 5 nations this time round. So let's start and dive in with the Premier League. So Premier League, we had midweek action. That's when the Premier League was, because it was the FA Cup at the weekend. So in midweek on Tuesday evening, Chelsea threw away a 2-goal lead at home against Leeds United, which finished 2-2. Goals there for João Pedro and Cole Palmer, again from the penalty spot. Before Leeds came back and drew it 2-2. Very exciting game, very fun game. Everton lost at home against Bournemouth. 2-1. Bournemouth came from a goal down to win that one. Insane 10-minute period. Everton winning 1-0 until the 61st minute. And then in the space of 8 minutes, Ryan, the new Brazilian wonder kid, equalised for Bournemouth. And then former AC Milan player Adli gave them a lead. And then a player got sent off for Everton. Mad period of time. Also on Tuesday, the death toll bell rang true for Thomas Frank as Spurs lost at home 2-1 against Newcastle United, and Thomas Frank was relieved of his duties. We'll be talking about the managerial changes shortly. Goals there from Malik Chow, Andre Gray, and Jacob Ramsey. And a very tense game down at the London Stadium where West Ham United were seconds away from a victory. But Benjamin Šeško had other ideas. A 1-1 draw between West Ham and Manchester United. Šeško's goal in particular. Chef's kiss. On Wednesday, Aston Villa won a narrow victory 1-0 over Brighton. Manchester City sauntered to a 3-goal win over Fulham, 3-0. First half goals from Semenyo, O'Reilly, Haaland. And did you hear that death toll? Well, it rang again on Wednesday as Sean Dyche was dismissed as head coach of Nottingham Forest, drawing 0-0 at home against bottom side Wolves, despite the fact Forest had 63% possession, 2.73 XG, 35 shots, 10 of which were on target, but none of them went in. If only one, and then he would perhaps still been there. Elsewhere, an insane game at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace took a 2-goal lead, both goals coming from new signing Strand Larsen. But Burnley actually managed to score 3 goals in the last 5 minutes of the first half. All 5 goals coming in the first half, and Burnley winning 3-2 at Selhurst Park. Before Sunderland's unbeaten home run ended against Liverpool, with Van Dijk getting the only goal in a 1-0 victory for Liverpool. And finally, on Thursday, the pressure's getting to Arsenal, ? As they could only manage a 1-1 draw at Brentford, with the gap at the top between them and City now only 4 points. Gosh, that was a long introduction for the Premier League. So first of all, let's talk about Let's talk about the managerial changes, because long time coming for Tottenham Hotspur, perhaps less so for Nottingham Forest. It was inevitable for Thomas Frank being dismissed, wasn't it? Because Spurs being only 5 points ahead of West Ham United now. Had West Ham beaten Man United, and again, that was seconds away from happening, Spurs would have only been 3 points from relegation. It's too close for comfort. He had to go.
Yeah, I agree with you because the weeks go by and look the same for Tottenham with these poor results, these loss, these draws. Except that this time, sorry, the defeat against Newcastle, which we have to say is not experiencing the best Premier League season of their history, as sealed Thomas Frank fate. Sorry. So, in my opinion, this is a team that needs a wake-up call, and I think Igor Tudor, his personality.
Spoiler alert! Yes. So, in case people hadn't heard, former Juventus manager.
Yeah.
Former
and former Marseille
and former Marseille manager
and Lazio.
has taken over on an interim basis until the end of the season. Do you think this is a good appointment, and why?
I think it's the way he will handle his players will be important for Tottenham, because now the point of the end of their season is to just save themselves. I don't think he's a long-term manager, because his two previous experiences showed, so at Juventus and at Lazio, showed that he's limited, that his results were quite
I think I read somewhere that the average time he spends as the head coach of a club is something like 11 months. It really is short term.
Yeah, in Marseille, because he trained Marseille few years ago now. It was a really good appointment. He had a difficult start with the fans booing him before even he managed to manage a single game, but he turned the things around, and his Marseille team were really interesting to watch, with a lot of pace, with a lot of goals. It was really interesting to watch. So I think it can be like a breath of new air for Tottenham Hotspur, and they just need someone to push them forward, because this is the main objective right now.
Elsewhere, like I said, Sean Dyche was also relieved of his duties as boss of Nottingham Forest, and they have since appointed Vitor Pereira, another short-term experienced manager. Do you think that's fair? I mean, we talked about before that Nottingham Forest, the stats alone suggest that match, it was so one-sided, and had they got that victory, they would have been level with Spurs. Do you think this is a fair? Do you think this is more reactionary? Do you think this is perhaps a little bit of desperation of Forest having to stay up?
I think at Forest, like it was the problem at Lyon under John Textor, the problem is not necessarily the players or the level of playing. It's the fact that it's so unstable. How many coaches and managers did Forest have since the start of the season? 3 now.
This is now the 4th permanent manager.
4th,
which has never happened before.
Yeah, I don't think you can build something out of a team on such a.
So they started the season with Nuno Espirito Santo. But obviously that was shortly after the appointment of Edu as head of football operations, I believe. Sporting director was one of those. But very much the emphasis was on him changing the style of football. And then they fired him and hired Ange Postecoglou, who very much would have changed the style of football, but he only lasted 37 days, something like that.
Yeah.
So they fired him, and then they hired Sean Dyche. And now they fired him. So now it's up to Vitor Pereira to. For Vitor Pereira, this is like a free shot, right? There's no expectation at this point, because everybody is aware of what a chaotic situation this is. So even if they go down, it's no fault of his.
No, but I don't think it will be a long-term manager for Nottingham, except if he manages to keep them up in the Premier League, because now they desperately need to win those games. West Ham are only 3 points behind them. They have played, I wouldn't say well this past weeks, but they have some good results and a clear improvement from compared to what West Ham have been in the last few months. So they just need to now just win some games to stay up.
Yeah, it does feel like West Ham are in the ascendancy, and it's just a question
Yeah,
of you only at this point you only have to be better than one team because Wolves are down, Burnley are almost certainly down. So yeah, all you have to do is have better results than one side to stay up. How far do you think the relegation battle is? How far do you think it goes in the Premier League? Because West Ham are currently the last relegation spot in 18th on 24 points. Then it's Nottingham Forest at 27, Tottenham Hotspur on 29, Leeds United on 30, Brighton on 31. How far do you think this goes? Because, for example, Brighton have only picked up 2 wins in the last 15 matches. They seem to be now the side plummeting. Obviously, Crystal Palace have picked up a recent win to sort of ease their worries, but still, should Brighton be worried, or do you think they are just a bit too far?
Firstly, I don't think West Ham will be relegated in the championship at the end of the season. In my opinion, Forest are more likely to be. Concerning Brighton, you're right to point them out because we don't hear much about them, but they are a team that have only won 2 of their 9 games in 2026. They are on a 6 game winless streak in the Premier League. I think that with 31 points, they have enough points to stay up this season, especially if you take a look at the adversity they have to face. But it's obviously a season to forget for them. The advantage is that, as you mentioned, Wolves are already relegated in the Champions League. I think Burnley too. Even with this win at Crystal Palace, I think it's too late for them. It was just to have a word on Burnley. It was an impressive victory because turning the things around as they did in 5 or 10 minutes, it's impressive. It shows that it's a team full of character. But I think it's certainly too late for them to hope to stay in the Premier League. And given their last weeks, it's almost a shame because they did manage to hold Liverpool, Tottenham, and Manchester United on draws in 2026. So it's a shame for them because I think it's too late to hope to stay. But it's one place remaining for the relegation, and I don't think it will be West Ham, but more likely Forest.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if Nuno Espirito Santo stays up with West Ham and yet 2 of his former clubs get relegated at the same time. Quick word on the situation. I was going to say the situation at Arsenal. They're top of the table by 4 points. But I suppose the sort of the discussion or the commentary on it seems to be like, last weekend with 10 minutes to go against Liverpool, Manchester City were losing and the gap was 9 points. And in the space of a match and those 10 minutes, it's now 4 points. So obviously that seems like quite an extreme turnaround, but obviously that wasn't a result at the time. Yeah. But in this context, do you actually think this was a good point for Arsenal? Because even though they did drop points, you are going to drop points. None of these teams are perfect.
The situation reminds me, I don't know if you remember, but maybe 2 or 3 months ago, they had the possibility to become 11-point clear.
I do remember them.
Yeah, and they lost 1 or 2 games, and Manchester City won, and the gap was only 4 points between them. So the situation is the same right now. Firstly, talking about that game, I want to give credit to Brentford because they had a real good game. It was quite funny to watch Arsenal being punished on a throw-in because it's usually their their stuff to do so. So now it will be interesting to see the end of the season with only 12 games remaining, and I think the thing is that the more games they play, the more pressure will build on them because we have to recall it's not a team that is used to win trophies. So they have an experienced player in the winning aspects, and it will be they will have to deal with it, because winning a trophy is not only being the best on the pitch, is also being the best in the head. So it will be interesting to watch it.
At some point we need to discuss the managerial situation at the end of the season, because I think that's 7 or 8 clubs. 7 for certain are looking for new managers at the end of the season. So the market's going to be quite something. Quick word before we move away from England. Obviously, it was the FA Cup weekend. Only one major shock to tell you about: relegation. Inevitably relegated Burnley lost at home to League One Mansfield. If you don't know where League One is, that is the 3rd tier of English football. And Mansfield won it in one of the last minutes of the game. A brilliant free kick. So if you haven't seen those goals, I would recommend going to see that one in particular. It's fantastic. Elsewhere, the only other one to bring your attention to was Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 3. If only because, if you didn't know, there's no VAR in the early rounds of the FA Cup. So there was no VAR in this match, in which there was, I think, 4 errors, huge errors from the officiating staff, which has now been highlighted. One of which was they'd missed a handball from Lucas Digne, who maybe should have been sent off as well earlier in the match. He was 3 yards inside his own box, and they gave a free kick. And it was lots of mistakes in that one. Newcastle's reward for defeating Villa away: a draw against Manchester City. Tough to be a Toon fan. Right, we should
once again.
And
I
was going to say, I think they face each other next weekend, the weekend after that.
And they faced each other in the
that'll be the
EFL Cup too.
5th time this season. Not fair. Right, anyway.
They should create their own championship.
We're going to move on. Let's move over to Italy. Yes, Italy, where we're all praying that there's an upcoming midweek match, the Como AC Milan match, which should have been played in Perth. Because currently Inter are 8 points clear, and we're hoping just to make this title race a little more interesting. But the results to bring you on Friday: that AC Milan did win 2-1 at Pisa. Goals from Loftus-Cheek and Modric. That's despite a late red card for Rabiot. On Saturday, Fiorentina, they got the victory they needed, except they're still not out of the relegation zone. We'll tell you why later. But yes, they actually defeated Como at Como. 2-1, with goals coming from Moise Kean and Fagioli, I believe it was. And also Como Morata got a late red card, which seems unusual for a veteran striker. We should also point out that Como were in action midweek in the Cup, so probably a bit tired. As were Lazio, and they lost at home 2-0 against Atalanta. Really, tiring out those league fixtures for the midweek action in the Cup. But the game of the round: Inter 3, Juventus 2, a fantastic match, which we'll come on to just shortly for the details. On Sunday, Udinese lost at home 2-1 against Sassuolo. Sassuolo coming from a goal down to win that. Cremonese 0, Genoa 0, Parma 2, Hellas Verona 1. Parma perhaps definitely safe after that victory. Hellas Verona actually did pretty well. They had a man sent off in just the 11th minute. It was 1-1 until the 3rd minute of stoppage time, when Parma stole it with a goal from Pellegrino. Torino lost at home against Bologna 2-1. Elsewhere, Napoli came from behind twice against Roma to draw 2-2. And on Monday, that devilish Lecce, 2 wins in a row, this time a 2-0 victory at Cagliari, which meant that they stayed out of the relegation zone, keeping Fiorentina in it. But let's start Inter-Juve. So Inter 3, Juventus 2. This game, as well as being wonderfully entertaining, everyone's been focusing on one moment of, let's call it what it is, cheating, which is certainly what the referees spoke about afterwards. The officials saying that they were misled, and seems to be an epidemic of players getting away with this kind of thing. So, yeah, would you talk us through it about this cheating incident? Did you see it?
Yeah, Pierre Kalulu, the Juventus defender, was booked early in the game, and then he committed a foul on Alessandro Bastoni from Inter Milan and got booked for the second time in the game. Then, of course, being handled a red card. But when we saw the images, we could notice that he barely touched Bastoni, who dive to be just fair. And given this aspect of the game, it's impossible to analyze it without mention this error. But the thing is that the VAR couldn't cancel the red card because it was not a straight red card, but
a second yellow.
We
should also point out that I'm fairly certain, wasn't Bastoni already on a yellow card as well? So because he dived, he should have had a second yellow, and he should be sent off.
Yeah. So the decision had a clear impact on the end of the game, and against a team as good as Inter, every detail counts. So for Juventus, it was,
and not just in the match, in the league as well. Even though Roma only drew with Napoli, they have now leapfrogged them into fourth place in the Champions League spots. So this kind of thing can have a serious result. The match itself was fantastic. Inter opened the scoring through a Cambiasso own goal before Cambiasso equalised himself, and then Kalulu was sent off in controversial circumstance, and that was all before halftime. Then after halftime, Esposito gave Inter the lead again, before Locatelli equalised late on. But then going into the last minute of regulation time, Zielinski found Inter's third goal, which was enough for the win. Should credit it, so trying to put aside the blatant cheat from Bastoni, should Christian Chivu be be praised for his tactics, because he really went for this, didn't he? Like, the tactics were aggressive. They were about winning the match, not trying to control the game, just trying to score goals, keeping two strikers on the whole time. Do you think he deserves praise for this?
I think he deserves praise for his whole season, because if you remember, when we talked about Christian Chivu's arrival at just before the Club World Cup last summer, we got questions about how would he succeed after Inzaghi's departure, the Champions League final, the loss in the Champions League final, and finally he managed to make a team a really strong team. Today, first in the tables with 8 points ahead of Milan, who have to play their game against Como. A dangerous team. Once again, they scored 3 goals against Juventus this weekend from 3 different goal scorers. So it's a very complete team, a very attacking team, and they are on the verge on winning another title. So.
Elsewhere, quick word on the Napoli-Roma match, which finished 2-2. Donyell Malen seems to be one of the answers Roma were looking for. A striker that is consistently scoring goals. He's really hit the ground running at Roma.
Yeah. Last week we asked ourselves if he could be the striker Roma were waiting for. He scored his second brace because he scored one on last weekend, and has already scored 5 goals in 5 games for Roma. And I just took a look at what he did in the Premier League this season, and he scored only 4 in 21 games with Aston Villa. So
he was often used as a substitute there, rather than he was the supporting act to Ollie Watkins. But now he's the starting forward for the Netherlands, so therefore he should probably be starting somewhere. And it seems like he's repaying the faith for putting him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's funny enough to watch some Premier League players leaving England and shine in the Serie A, because of course, we talk about Daniel Malen, but we can also talk about Scott McTominay at Napoli, who have been terrific last season, MVP of the league. I think it's a good championship for this kind of strikers. We need to regain confidence. We saw that, so interesting. And yeah, Daniel Malen is on fire right now.
Also, a word on Fiorentina, or rather Lecce. 2 wins on the bounce. Who saw that coming? But also the fact, yes, Fiorentina are 18th, but now they're still 3 points behind Lecce. But the difference is they're now 3 points behind Lecce, Cremonese, and Genoa. So they are within striking distance of all of them. Now, who was it that thought Cremonese would be relegated about 5-6 weeks ago? Who foresaw that issue?
I can't remember.
But seriously, Cremonese are now only 1 win in their last 14, I believe. They've only got 2 points from the last 18 available. Yeah, hard times for Cremonese. But yes, so speaking of the relegation battles like we did in the Premier League, how far do you think this goes in Italy? Because obviously Fiorentina are 3 points behind Lecce, Cremonese, Genoa. They are 6 points behind Torino. But I suppose Torino are only 3 points ahead of all those other teams. But I suppose you just don't see certain teams picking up points. But then we said that about Lecce, right? So how many teams do you think are in this relegation fight?
I think there are 4 teams in this relegation.
Do you think Torino is safe already?
Yeah, I think. And I even think there are only 3 because if you remember, I never thought Fiorentina would be relegated at the end of the season, and I still don't think, even if this their win against Como this weekend is what was crucial, because if they had lost, they would be 6 points behind Lecce in 17th position. So they are now 3 points just behind the 15th place in the table. You've mentioned Cremonese's form. In fact, yeah, they are terribly at the moment. But
it'll be really interesting. So to jump in, it'd be quite cruel if Cremonese were to be relegated, but yet they were the only team to beat AC Milan this season.
Yeah.
Because that's
their only accomplishment of the season.
And
they had a good start, because I remember they were on a 5-5-5. They were on a 5 win, 5 draws, 5 losses.
They were sort of like 5th or 6th place in the early stages. They had such a solid start, but yeah. But it looks like teams found them out quite quickly, as it was. Also, before we go away from Italy, just to let you know the cup results in midweek. So Napoli faced Como. That was 1-1, and Como won 7-6 on penalties. Elsewhere, Bologna and Lazio faced each other. That was 1-1 as well, but this time Lazio won 4-1 on penalties. So defending cup champions Bologna are eliminated. Lazio and Como are through to the semi-final. It'd be wonderful if one of those teams won the Coppa Italia this year, considering, first of all, Lazio being under a transfer embargo for the first half of the season, and Como obviously being one of the pretenders to the elite. So it seems like both aspired a cup run. Very similar to Spain, which brings me, that's a nice segue. We're going to go to Spain, because in midweek, before we tell you the league results, in midweek, we had the semi-finals of the Copa del Rey. It was the, I'm going to feel really bad about this. Was it the San Sebastian derby? The Basque derby, sorry. Athletic Club 0, Real Sociedad 1. So Real Sociedad are in the final. And then the next semi-final, Atletico Madrid against Barcelona. Atletico won 4-0. Goals from Eric Garcia, own goal, Griezmann, Ademola Lookman, and Julian Alvarez scoring his first goal in 3 months. All in the first half, so 4-0 Atletico. And Eric Garcia had a terrible day. He also got a red card late in that match as well.
Just to correct you, they are not in the final yet, because there is a second leg.
Oh, apologies. Sorry, I forgot about the second leg. Thank you very much. But I mean, I will say this:
Yeah.
Atletico are probably the final. But thank you for correcting that. We'll talk about that. What happened with Barcelona? Because obviously there was murmurings this week about meetings between the players and Hansi Flick and about tension coming out of nowhere, which is strange considering Barcelona having a very good season. It does seem like that is spilling onto the pitch because, spoiler alert, the league result this weekend wasn't great either. So this really seems to be disrupting the players.
Yeah, this was a terrible performance from Barcelona. Even if we have to recall that they have a lot of missing players, especially Rafinha, who was back this weekend yesterday away at Girona, and Pedri, who were maybe the two of the three main players in Barcelona's squad. So it doesn't explain everything, but of course it didn't help them to try to start a comeback against Atletico, who were really, really interesting. Each time they wanted to attack, they could approach the Barcelona's box. Each time they shoot, it was on target and in the back of the net. So they were really, really good. And Barcelona, maybe they could have been awarded a penalty in the second half. It wasn't the case. They could have scored in the second half. They scored, but the VAR strangely disallowed their goal. So they will need to explain that. But it was a poor performance overall for Barcelona.
And also, we should really credit not only Atletico Madrid, but Diego Simeone, because so often people speak about the high line of Barcelona and about how it doesn't quite make sense why more teams haven't quite figured out how to attack against it. This is the example, a team that had it perfectly against that high line. But let's bring you the results of the league. So on Friday, Elche and Osasuna played out a 0-0 draw. Both teams terrified of losing at this stage with the relegation fight. On Saturday, Espanyol and Celta Vigo faced off. Both teams struggling this season and playing out a 2-2 draw. It was 2-1 to Espanyol until the third minute of stoppage time, where Borja Iglesias, with his fabulous nails, equalised to make it 2-2 in the third minute stoppage time. Elsewhere, Villarreal, their form is stumbling as well. They lost 2-1 at Getafe. Getafe, who seems to have turned a corner of their own, 2-1 to them. Sevilla and Alaves played out a 1-1 draw, despite the fact that Sevilla had 2 men sent off. Strange match, that one. Real Madrid 4, Real Sociedad 1. Sociedad probably a bit tired from their midweek action. Real Madrid playing the long game, you see, getting knocked out of the cup so they could try and steal a march on the league. Goals from Gonzalo Garcia, a couple for Vinicius Jr. from the penalty spot, and Valverde. On Sunday, Athletic Club 1-2-1 at Real Oviedo. Rayo Vallecano moved out of the relegation zone, defeating Atletico Madrid 3-0. Again, tired midweek, perhaps. The Valencia derby, Levante 0, Valencia 2. Valencia also moving away from the relegation zone. Mallorca 1, Real Betis 2. And on Monday, the big news, Barcelona winning 2-1 against the league leaders. Well, former league leaders. They are now down to second. Let's start with that result because, as we were just saying, that there's quite a bit of disruption now. And these two results means that we can no longer ignore it. But this was a bit of a strange one because Lamine Yamal missed a penalty. Another one where Barcelona probably should have actually won it, but didn't. But this could be damaging, couldn't it? This level of form, because if they don't fix it quickly, then Real Madrid seem to have gotten their quote S word together.
Yeah, firstly, we have to say it was a very enjoyable game, especially in the first half. Great atmosphere, good performances on the pitch, but Barcelona made too many mistakes to win. Add to that the Yamal missed penalty you've mentioned, some controversial refereeing decisions, especially on the Girona's second goal and Echeverry's fall on Jules Koundé. And it was really bad night for Barcelona, who are now sitting second in the league, 2 points behind Real Madrid. whom they will play before the end of the season. There is still a long way to go in the league, but the dynamic with also the Champions League, we have to mention it, and the Copa del Rey return leg, it will not really help Barcelona because they are really tired. Hansi Flick told it in the press conference, so it will be a tough mission for him to get his team back on track.
Probably a word on. I'm trying to find the results from last week. Atletico. Oh yeah, so Atletico. Atletico Madrid. That's 2 losses in a row. They lost at home against Real Betis last week, and lost at Rayo Vallecano this week. But considering the results, do you think that was actually smart from Simeone, because they did play a very rotated side in the league last week and this week? They've got no real prospect of winning the league. They're 4 points ahead of Real Betis in 5th, so not safe, but fairly secure. So do you feel like it's right for him to try and go all in on trying to win a trophy, considering Real Madrid are already out of the competition, so there was an opportunity here, and he took it?
Yeah, you are perfectly right, and I think I was asking myself, sorry, are they putting all their chances in the Copa del Rey and in the Champions League? Because seeing the gap with Real Madrid and Barcelona, I think we can say they are ruled out of the Liga title. So now they have the opportunity to actually win a title. They strengthened their squad in the past transfer market. So yeah, I think they should seize the opportunity to win the Copa del Rey. Just making sure to qualify to the next Champions League campaign, because they're only 4 points clear of Real Betis. But I think the La Liga race is over for them. So all in on the cup.
And rightly so, you feel, as opposed to just playing it safe for the rest of the season. Quick word on Real Madrid, who that is now 6 wins in a row in the league, but also looks like Trent Alexander-Arnold might finally be assimilating into this team properly. Like, this is by far his best performance, and I believe it was one of the Spanish newspapers. The headline was "Beckham is back" after Trent Alexander-Arnold's assist for Gonzalo Garcia. This was his best game in a Real Madrid shirt, right?
Yeah, I think too. Even if he didn't play 30 games for Real Madrid yet, but yeah, he was really good, assisting Gonzalo Garcia on the opener. Talking about Gonzalo Garcia, he has been decisive a lot this season. Every 122 minutes this season, which is impressive for a young rotation player. And yeah, Real Madrid are the big winner of the round. Just a word on Real Sociedad. It was the first defeat from Pellegrino Matarazzo since joining.
Of course,
yeah, and I don't think it will make them lose their spot to the European football. They are still on the race, only 3 points behind Celta and 4 behind Espanyol. So it will be interesting.
Real fight for those Europa League spots.
Yeah.
And again, considering how they started the season, that's what a result that'll be. And before we move away from Spain, just to remind you what's going on at the bottom, it's Mallorca who are now occupying that 18th spot. They are 1 point behind Rayo Vallecano, who won this week, and Elche. 2 points behind Valencia, who won this week, as well as Alaves and Sevilla. Girona, with that victory for them over Barcelona, means they are now 5 points ahead of the relegation zone. Again, wonderful turnaround for Girona. Right, we should go over to Germany, I think. So just a little word, midweek, some more cup action here in the DFB Cup Dockball? I forgot actually what it's called. Anyway, Hertha Berlin and Freiburg faced. These are quarterfinals. 1-1 between those two, with Freiburg winning on penalties, and Bayern beat RB Leipzig 2-0 with goals coming from. Do you want to guess? Harry Kane, Luis Diaz. But yes, so both those, Freiburg and Bayern, through to the semi-finals. But in the Bundesliga itself, on Friday, Borussia Dortmund, a fantastic victory over Mainz, 4-0. Mainz being, let's just quickly talk about this here. Mainz, rejuvenated, wonderful bit of form, but Dortmund just seem to have too much about them, right? This is what Dortmund look like on their better days.
Yeah, and Borussia Dortmund, they desperately want to win the title. The players, I've said it in the press, they are eyeing for the title. It was a strong performance. They scored. It's not a trivia thing, but they scored 3 first half goals with headers, which is unusual to be.
Well, unless you're Arsenal.
Yeah, they are putting their 6th consecutive victory to put pressure on Bayern Munich because they played before. And yeah,
of course, yeah, the lead was briefly down to 3 points.
Yeah,
talk about 6. They're 6 points behind Bayern, also 6 points ahead of Hoffenheim. So why not try and go for the title? Look up rather than down, eh? On Saturday, Bayer Leverkusen beat St. Pauli 4-0. A nice, comfortable victory there. I'll be honest, I'm going to sum this up by saying basically this week the top half defeated the bottom half. It was very much that vibe. Frankfurt defeated Borussia Mönchengladbach 3-0. Elsewhere, Hamburg defeated Union Berlin 3-2. That was a very fun match. Hoffenheim 3, Freiburg 0. Freiburg, again, we're in action midweek, possibly a bit tired. If you haven't seen the highlights, perhaps you should watch it just for possibly the greatest disallowed goal ever. Do you know the one I mean? The Kramaric one?
Yeah.
Was it a volley from like 35 yards? And
I don't know, but it was a beauty. And Kramaric is on the top form recently.
Which is great. Former Leicester City striker.
Yeah.
Yes, anyway, sorry. Hoffenheim 3, Freiburg 0. Elsewhere, Bayern won 3-0 at Werder Bremen. A couple of goals there from Harry Kane, one from the penalty spot. And ding, 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 ding. That brings up Harry Kane's 500th goal in the top flight and international, which is kind of astonishing, really. So
a record for an English player.
The first ever English player to record 500 goals. Again, we should probably specify in the top flight of the major leagues.
Yeah.
So we don't count second division and below. So yes, international top flight. A wonderful achievement. And actually, my trivia will be based mostly on Harry Kane a bit later. So we'll come back to talk to him then. Talk about him then, rather. Stuttgart defeated Köln 3-1. That was 1-1. Until the 84th minute, before Demirovic scored a late leader for Stuttgart, and then Undav made sure in stoppage time. And then on Sunday, Augsburg defeated Heidenheim 1-0, and RB Leipzig came from behind twice to draw against Wolfsburg 2-2, which coincidentally was the only draw the entire weekend in the Bundesliga. Yeah. So yes, with the top half defeating the bottom half, really not much change in the league. So let's talk about Harry Kane and the impact he's had on the Bundesliga, because you could probably say, obviously, going to Bayern is quite a dominant side anyway, but the sheer numbers are staggering, aren't they? Because it's not just goals, it's assists as well.
Yeah, he's been playing very good this season. I think he's better than last season. Maybe last season he scored more goals, even if he did score 41 and assisted 5 since the beginning of the current season, which is obviously impressive. But he seems even more linked to the player, more adapted to the Bundesliga. He's so important for Bayern Munich. Not only on the score sheet, but of the fear he provokes to the opponents, because of course when you have to deal with such a talented forward, you are not only 100% focused on him, you are 150% or 200 focused on him. So he's impressive. I really love this player. He's a really complete striker. Impressive, just impressive.
You know what? I'm going to ask my trivia question now, the trivial trivia, because it's about Harry Kane. So I'll ask one of them. So that's 500 goals. Which team do you think he scored against the most? I've got a top 3 here.
Okay.
So the top 3 are all Premier League. Or at least one is formerly of the Premier League. There's one team who scored 20 goals against.
Arsenal, I think they are in the top
very
3.
close. They're third. He scored 15 goals against Arsenal. So for those of you who think he just scored the easy goals, the flat track bully, no. It's Leicester City, his former club, actually. Leicester City, 20 goals. But I thought more interestingly, in the top 10 teams he scored most goals against, one of them's a German club, despite the fact he's only been there 2.5 seasons. Do you have any guess which club it is? I'll give you a clue. It's not in the bottom half. It's, again, not a flat track bully.
Can be Dortmund?
It's Stuttgart. He scored 10 goals against Stuttgart in 2.5 seasons. It's insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, like, we are lucky to have so many elite players in the world that we can just, laud praise at. We could probably leave the Bundesliga there, to be honest, because, like I say, the top half beat the bottom half, same as you were, more or less.
Just one thing which is interesting to note, because you've said that all the top table teams and bottom teams have won all. It's interesting to note that only Leipzig and Wolfsburg have lost and gained a point, and very important for Wolfsburg because Bremen have lost, and Wolfsburg are not in the relegation zone.
Yes, very interesting. Right, finally, on this little jig that we do weekly, we're going to go over to France. And, my goodness, what's this? France? Dramatic. It is. No cup, no midweek action, no cup to talk about. But, my goodness, there's some interesting league stuff. And we're going to start talking about the first match, Friday night, with Paris Saint-Germain and Monaco coming up in midweek. Both teams played on Friday. Monaco, their return to form continues, defeating Nantes 3-1 with 3 goals. All the goals coming in the first half before Golovin was sent off for a second yellow in the second half. But that's not the one we're going to talk about. Elsewhere, Rennes 3, Paris Saint-Germain 1. Paris Saint-Germain suffering a defeat. Spoiler alert, losing top spot in Ligue 1, but also terrible preparation for the midweek match against Monaco. Bit of a fallout from this match as well, because Dembele was made comments to the press afterwards saying along the lines of certain players need to stop playing for themselves and start playing for the team. I'm going to sort of compare this to Barcelona, but considering there doesn't seem to be much wrong with this side, and yet there's just a little bit of tension. There's something beneath the surface, isn't there?
Yeah, because Paris Saint-Germain experienced some difficult weeks now. They are second in Ligue 1. They didn't achieve to qualify directly for the round of 16 in the Champions League. They are eliminated in the Coupe de France. So they are not as dominant as they were last season, especially in the second half of the season. You've mentioned Ousmane Dembele's comment. They were obviously targeting Désiré Doué, who has been disappointing these past months. He was praised last season, scoring a brace in the Champions League final, of course. But this season, he seems to be playing for himself, which raises a lot of questions in the.
We should probably point out that it was never specified which player or players Dembele was referencing.
No, of course,
attack. And also the manager Luis Enrique was saying that. It was quite comical because he was saying that any comments made by players after a match should be completely ignored because it's in the heat of the moment. We should point out that.
Yeah, because some just to clarify, it's because some reports suggest that it was directed to Desiré Doué, and it's not the first time some information like that came out. So here is why.
Fair enough. So yes, Paris Saint-Germain losing, perhaps pulling in Arsenal. Like, have they choked? Although they've won a lot of titles, unlike Arsenal.
Yeah.
Oh, how much Arsenal I'm going to throw shade am I going to throw today? On Saturday, Marseille and Strasbourg played out a very entertaining 2-2 draw. In fact, Marseille threw away a 2-goal lead. Gary O'Neill's Strasbourg came back to draw 2-2 with Panicelli scoring a penalty in the 7th minute of stoppage time. Marseille, when it seemed like it was finally calming down, a nice lead against a very decent Strasbourg side, they let it slip, which seems to be quite a problem for them this season.
Yeah, the situation at OM at Marseille is clearly the main topic of discussion in Ligue 1 at the moment, because this weekend, after losing 5-0 to PSG, let's remember it, last week, they once again dropped points, this time against Strasbourg, after having leading 2-0. They did so against Paris FC a few weeks ago. And just over the last 10 days in Marseille, Roberto De Zerbi was sacked. Mehdi Benatia, the sporting director, announced his departure from the club before being called back by his owner, who gave him full powers, reducing those of Pablo Longoria, the president. The new coach has not arrived yet, although it seems to be that Habib Bey, who was himself recently sacked by Rennes, and what's more, they're now 4th in the league, 5 points behind Lyon. So it's chaos in Marseille, as always, I would like to say. But yeah,
credit to Strasbourg and credit to Gary O'Neill, because it seemed like he made tactical changes that actually affected the game. Yeah, that sounds like patronising Gary O'Neill, because he was clearly a very good manager. He wouldn't have worked in the Premier League several times, if not. But also, it was I think just when he was appointed manager of head coach of Strasbourg, it was a little bit underwhelming for many of the fans involved. But it's been a good start under him.
Yeah, especially since Strasbourg had 2 losses before this away trip to Marseille, so they needed to gain some points. They will face Lyon on the next weekend, which will be also difficult. So it was a good thing for them to have this point.
A couple of more matches to talk about, although some other results. Lille's poor form continues. They drew 1-1 against Brest, so just 1 each for Brest. But that is only Lille's. That's only 2 points in the last 18 available for Lille. Really poor form. And actually, they've lost the opportunity, because they could have put pressure on Marseille for that 4th spot, that qualifying Champions League spot, but they're still 6 points behind. Elsewhere, Paris FC 0, Lens 5. A couple of goals for Saïd, a penalty for Thauvin, and 2 late goals for Fofana in stoppage time. This was, we were wondering if this was going to be another sort of tense performance against Paris and their dogged defense, but this was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was easy. Lens, you were talking about Arsenal. They are a team that compared to Arsenal and contrary to Arsenal, they are a team that don't seem to suffer from pressure, because for the simple reason that no one, including themselves and the fans and the pundits and everyone, expected them to be where they are at the moment. So what they are achieving is exemplary. It's all bonus. And now they are on a good position to win the title. So it would be extraordinary. And even if they failed, they would fail to win the title and ended 2nd or 3rd in the league. It would be a real good season for them.
3rd. Speaking of which, Moving on to Sunday, Le Havre beat Toulouse 2-1. Lorient beat Angers 2-0. Metz lost at home against Auxerre 3-1. But the thing that perhaps Leo was referencing, Lyon defeated Nice. Everyone beats Nice. Lyon defeated Nice 2-0, which is their 13th win in a row. Just one behind the record they set in, was it 2006, 2005, something like that?
Yeah.
So if they win their next match, that is tied for the record, the best wins in a road record for Lyon. Astonishing, absolutely astonishing return to form. And the scenes at the end of the game were really touching, weren't they?
Yeah, it was an extraordinary, like a party between players, Paulo Fonseca and the fans, because when you remember where Lyon were last summer on the verge on being relegated, being third in the league today is more than unexpected. They are not really good this past weeks, but they always find a way to sting their opponents to win the 3 points. But we have to say that whatever it happens right now, even if I think they will finish fourth in the league personally. But
fourth? You think fourth?
Yeah, I think because they will their fixtures to come are very very hard. They will play Strasbourg, they will play Marseille, they will play PSG, they will play Lens. They will play.
What I'm hearing is that the title challenge is back on. If they win all of those, then
please don't say that. I will believe it. But yeah, it's a terrific season for Lyon, and everything like Lens, everything from now is kind of bonus for them.
Well, I mean, either way, it's been a terrific return for their season, and who knows where they could finish. But certainly, again, looking up rather than down. The point between them and Lille in fifth is now 9 points. Right, so that brings us to the end. Ciao, boys. Hello, Josh, ACM7. Ciao, boys. Apologies if you've already covered this, but interested to hear your thoughts on the dreadful refereing in Inter versus Juventus. Bastoni should have been sent off alongside Kalulu for diving. Well, we have discussed it, but to disagree with what you mentioned there, we think that Bastoni should have been sent off instead of Kalulu. Because obviously, as we mentioned, Bastoni already on a yellow card when he dived. Fonseca leaves Milan and becomes the greatest coach on earth. It's okay.
I agree with you, Josh. He is the greatest coach on earth. And just to finish with Lyon, because Josh' comment is interesting, because Fonseca, when he was on suspended for 9 months, the only good thing maybe John Textor did at Lyon was to keep him in the club, because it was a tough decision to keep a manager who couldn't be.
Well, also, we should probably point out that I think that would probably constitute a breach of contract. The fact that he, quote unquote, attacked a referee. But yeah, like sort of the breach of contract, being suspended for 9 months would have meant that they could easily get rid of him without the compensation needed. But they decided to keep him on, and it seems like a smart choice. But we should always remember that yes, he was banned for a very good reason. So it does feel like a bit of a redemption arc. This probably why the emotion at the end of the match. Yes, we should probably leave that there so we can squeeze in the things that we may have missed. Hey, Leo, what might we have missed?
Let's go to the Bundesliga 2 this time.
Bundesliga.
With Edin Dzeko, I don't know if you saw that he returned to Germany.
Was he in Schalke?
Yeah, in Schalke, and he's enjoying an impressive return to Germany, because for those who don't know, he played at Wolfsburg in the late years of the. I think it was in 2007. 2009, 2008, and he's having a great comeback to Germany, having already scored 5 goals in 4 games since his arrival. He's 14 now, so it's a good. I like this kind of stories.
I'm going to bring your attention to the Championship. If you remember me telling you before Christmas, or early December, Coventry City were 10 points clear at the top of the Championship. Going into today's fixture, they were second in the table. They have a poor turn of form. Not awful, but also Middlesbrough and Ipswich Town have really turned things around. So Coventry against Middlesbrough, second against first this weekend. And Coventry City won 3-1. A big victory for Coventry, who go back to the top of the Championship. But yeah, a bit more of a title challenge there. But Coventry now first ahead of Middlesbrough, and Ipswich Town, I think, fourth, but they have a couple of games in hand. Anything else we might have missed?
The last thing is that I just wanted to focus briefly on the Scottish League, where the
What a
title race.
fight that is, yeah.
Yeah, the title race is wide open with three teams still in contention. Hearts, who are currently top of the table, ahead of Rangers, and Celtic, who are only 3 points behind them, but with a game in hand. So,
yeah.
And I think it's a really good scenario for the Scottish League, because from an external point of view, when we talk about the Scottish Premiership, it's only Rangers and Celtic fighting for the title, and it's a good thing for the league to have.
And apart from anything else, their coefficient, I think it's dropped to like 17th or 18th. So like both the struggles of Rangers and Celtic in Europe as well means that there's even less focus put on it. But yeah, great fun. I've got one for you.
Yeah.
I hope you're ready for this.
I am.
An announcement, a result in the Portuguese Primeira.
No way. Don't tell me that.
18th place, AVS 3. Estoril, 8th place, 0. AVS beat 8th place Estoril 3-0 to record their first victory of the season. They are now only
finally.
They are now only 12 points from safety. So the fight is on. But hey, you know what? We've still got 4 teams across the entire of Europe still waiting for their first victory. So I'll keep an eye on them for everybody here. Yes. Right. Trivial trivia. To finish things off, I've still got one more. Do you have anything?
I don't, but I have an answer for you.
Harry Kane obviously scoring his 500th career goal. Again, we're talking top flight and international. Including Harry Kane, how many players have scored that many goals officially? Officially in the top flight and international, how many players have scored 500 goals at the highest level of football, as far as records show?
Okay. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo.
It might take you a while to count them off.
Yeah? Oh, I had Karim Benzema too. Luis Suarez.
Well, I've got the whole list here if you want to put it like, okay.
But I think, yeah, it's a lot.
It is.
I don't have the answer, but
it's not a lot, but it's...
No, I would go between 25 and 30 players, no?
Oh, very good. 27. I'll give you that. Well done. Bravo. Names just ahead of Harry Kane. If he scores another 2 goals, he'll go ahead of Zico, the Brazilian Zico. Yeah. He's 50 goals behind Scotland's Jimmy McGrory. That's very good. You can probably guess the top ones. Cristiano Ronaldo is first by some distance. Leo Messi is second. Pele is third. Romario is fourth. But again, we're talking like if Romario claims he's scored over 1,000, but that also includes friendlies or whatever. Same thing with Pele, to be honest. Like there's so many like unofficial games he scored in. But a very good point was made, which is if Harry Kane, he is 126 goals behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's 126 goals behind Joe Bambrick, a Northern Irish player. So if Harry Kane could score 127 goals in his career, he'll move into the top 10 ever. He's 134 guys behind Gerd Müller as well. So when you say it like that, the top 10 really is possible for Harry Kane before he ends his career. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think especially if he keeps playing in the Bundesliga, where he seems to be to adapt really, really well. So yeah, I think it is. He has now 12 games remaining to do so.
Oh dear. Right, that brings us to the end of the European Soccer Show. Thank you for watching TES with me and Leo. Thank you as ever, Leo, for joining me.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone.
And make sure you follow the
watching us.
socials, because you also can keep watching this either live on the live stream or afterwards on things like YouTube. You can also send us comments, like that lovely guy earlier asking questions we'd already answered. But you know what? Feel free to send them anyway. We love comments. Until next week, take care of yourselves, and we'll be back with more coverage of the top 5 European leagues.
See you next Thursday.
Goodbye, everybody. AVS
Goodbye.
1. Party, 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 party. Goodbye.